He's going about his life probably. He's serving God in Israel. He'd already prophesied in the northern kingdom. He had formed his own desires. He formed his own plans. He perhaps formed his own ambitions. Maybe he had his own concepts about how things should be and how to best serve God. Maybe he's saying, you know what? I'm just going to serve God where I am. I will be faithful to synagogue. I will pay my tithes. I will make sure that I minister to those around me because we're the hands and feet of the Lord. Maybe he had this understanding and say, you know what? God's not talking to me. I'm just going to do this, and this is the best way I can serve God. And God calls him to a contrary service. Verse 3 literally is an illustration of what Paul says when he says that the Spirit wars against the flesh. Now, Jonah was a faithful prophet of God, and you know in the back of his mind, he knew that the word of the Lord was coming because that rang in their hearts. It gripped their hearts. It gripped every part about them. He knew what God was telling him to do, yet he had a constraint where he said in his flesh, I do not want to do this. Jonah was negotiating literally his participation of the gospel. Now, this is where we can begin to make some modern day applications when we talk about, okay, God's revealed will, His sovereign will has been expressed in verses 1 and 2. Go to Nineveh and cry out against it. But in verse 3, we see Jonah's response. He doesn't want to, so he gets up and he runs away from the presence of God. Well, we can turn this into the New Testament where Jesus says, go and make disciples of all nations, baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age. That's the expressed clear will of God. And now we have a group and generation of Christians in which we are negotiating our participation in the Great Commission. In other words, we have an idea, well, you know what? God hasn't called me to that. This is how I can best serve God. I can best serve God by showing hospitality. That might be very good, and God may have blessed you with a hospitable heart, or maybe someone has another gift that they claim that they have, and they say, well, that is not my gift. It doesn't matter if it's your gift. Is it the call of God?